So Janet Bradley, given how many courses that you have at your own yoga studio, how calm is your life in general?
Probably the exact opposite, which is why, in a way, I'm very, very fortunate that my actual job involves teaching yoga, because at least when I do go to work, I have the benefits of the practice to help sort of serve others, make them feel better. So
that's an interesting point, that, actually, because you never think about the yoga teacher themselves as to whether they're actually getting the benefits out of it, because presumably you're actually trying to watch what everyone else is doing.
Well, for sure, it's not the same as going to a class. I mean, as a teacher, it's such a treat when you do have the opportunity to go to a class elsewhere and go to another teacher, and you can kind of really take a step back, and then you can really focus on your own practice, which is great. But nevertheless, the benefits are still there. They're just not as vast as, obviously, when you're on your own.
Now, some people have a feeling that they're not any good at yoga. Perhaps they're not as flexible as they think they need to be. Perhaps they can't sit as quietly as they think they need to. What would you say to those sort of people?
Well, as an example, my best friend, bless her, she's sort of inclined to say to me, I'm the stiffest person in the world. I don't ever want to do any yoga. The thought of bending and stretching and doing all the rest is just like will make her want to run for the hills. But the thing is with yoga, especially the way that we practice it, is it's not about the shapes. It's not about, touching your toes. It's actually what you experience during that process. And everybody's ability, everybody's unique. And that's the best thing about yoga, is that we're not trying to conform everybody into a specific shape or size like what you do in sport or dance or gymnastics. Otherwise, it would be just gymnastics.
And you sort of make it easier for everyone anyway, don't you? Because you have the different classes for different types of people. So you've got like the bro yoga, which you can explain for us in a second. But also I notice you've got the little Omigos, which is very cute. And actually, having talked to Scott and seen his book, you were saying you could actually potentially incorporate.
Totally.
So tell us how that would work.
Well, for sure. I mean, when we teach the children, we tap into the story element, because if it's playful, if it's imaginative, then they really get involved, and it keeps their attention, and they become part of the story, and then the poses themselves just infiltrate into the story, and then we'll kind of replicate them in sort of similar yoga poses, and a bit of dance, a bit of action, a bit of imagination. It's great fun.
Because your background is originally in dance, wasn't
That's right.
it? So, it was interesting looking at the fact that you mentioned in your background that you moved to the island from South Africa when you were 17.
Yeah.
And, most people would say, oh, and that's where it all began for me. But actually, you said it sort of uprooted you and had initially a slightly negative impact on you.
Yeah, for sure. Because when I moved to the Isle of Man, I mean, it was such a long time ago. And in fact, there weren't very many South Africans here then. I was just saying before about how many there are here on the island now. But came to the island, and Anna and I went to school together, so I mean it was crazy. It was just such a culture shock, and although the people were great, it wasn't my choice. I think if it had been my choice, it would have been a bit different. My parents moved here, but then over time I went away. I went back to South Africa, and when I came back I was like, the Isle of Man is my home, and I really, really appreciated it for the first time, I think, because it was my choice. So yeah, so happy to be here now. But I lost all my dancing sort of roots, and I lost a lot of my confidence, and it was a tough time. But then I found yoga, and that kind of saved my life. And so I want to share it with others.
And that's presuming why, because you do talk a lot about the self-confidence that it can bring with yoga. So how does that actually work? Because I have to admit, I am probably the person in the room that doesn't really do very much yoga. I've tried it, and I do want to get back into it. But how does it build self-confidence?
It's just so sneaky, and it's just so cool like that, because at the end of the day, the thing about yoga is it's not a competition. You're not punishing yourself to achieve something in particular. You don't have to do like 10 reps of X weight or whatever like that, but it gets into your body, and it gets under your skin. It gets into sort of your emotional and mental side. And say you do like an arm balance, and then the next minute you do it and you think, whoa, I never thought I'd do that. And all of a sudden you've got some confidence building.
And what's really important as a teacher, I suppose, is having that non-judgmental attitude, because I think that's what some people worry about as well, going into a class and looking at other people and thinking, I can't do it as well as they can. But I mean, clearly you are just so encouraging with everybody.
Yeah. And the thing is as well, the best thing that you can share is one person will be able to do one pose really easily, and see another person struggling, and then those same two people will have a flip. And then they'll see each other and they'll be like, oh my gosh, I was doing that really well. And then she can't do that, but she was doing that one really well. And then all of a sudden, it makes everything nice and equal. If somebody can do everything, they're a unicorn. That's what we call them. We call them unicorns. They do exist, but they're fairly mystical.
That is ace. We mentioned bro yoga, assuming
Yes.
that is
Yes.
for guys. Do you get many men coming to the classes?
Well, we ran a really good series just before the summer. We haven't started our next one yet, so we're looking for some guys. If anybody here would like to start, probably after the October sort of period. We're just settling in the kids for now, like the little amigos, the teens, and all of that, getting them bedded in, and then we'll look at the guys.
If you're going to use Scott's book, I really think he needs to be a guinea pig. Not necessarily a guinea pig pose. Is there a guinea pig pose? Is there?
We can make it up.
Yeah.
We
Rather
can
than
make it
a
up.
unicorn, I can be a guinea pig.
Totally.
It's fine.
Totally. Come on in.